Russian troops must face justice for war crimes in Ukraine. That's what Amnesty International said Friday in a report documenting extensive evidence and testimony of unlawful airstrikes, extrajudicial executions and torture in the region northwest of Kyiv.
We know that the crimes committed against people living around Kiev, which we are reporting on today, are not merely anecdotal, incidental, or collateral. We know they are part of a pattern that has characterized Russia's conduct of the hostilities from the outset, a repeated pattern, large in scale and devastating in impact.
A delegation of the international organization spent several days in 8 cities near Kyiv with victims' families, survivors and senior Ukrainian officials. In Borodyanka, they found at least 40 civilians died in indiscriminate attacks that devastated an entire neighborhood and took down 8 residential buildings. The investigation also determined unlawful killings in Bucha in March, where shocking images emerged showing corpses littering the streets, finding 22 cases of extrajudicial bloodshed. The exact specialized rifles used for the Bucha executions were also discovered, identifying specific Russian army units. Ukrainian officials claim investigations into over 9,000 potential war crimes are currently underway, as does the International Criminal Court, who say they're examining evidence. Moscow has denied committing abuses in Ukraine, maintaining the invasion is a special operation.
Let's turn now to Ethiopia. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch released a joint report earlier today accusing regional forces in the country's north of committing war crimes and ethnic cleansing in the Tigray region. The report also implicated Ethiopia's military. Tigray is one of 11 regional states in Ethiopia on the border with Eritrea and Sudan. Since November 2020, it has been devastated by fighting between the Tigray People's Liberation Front and the government. Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed in the 17-month-long civil war, and millions have been displaced. The war has also pushed parts of the country into famine. Ellen Morrow is tracking this story for us this morning and joins me now from London. Ellen, tell us more about what we're seeing in this new report.
Well, Jennifer, this is a really chilling report coming from Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, and it accuses paramilitary forces, security forces from Ethiopia's Amhara region of carrying out a campaign of ethnic cleansing against civilians in the neighboring Tigray region in the north of Ethiopia. And we can pull up a quote from the report just to give you a sense of what it is alleging has taken place. It says this includes murder, torture, forcible transfer of land and property, rape, sexual slavery, and other forms of sexual violence, persecution and forced disappearances, widespread pillage, imprisonment, possible extermination, and other inhumane acts as part of a widespread and systematic attack against the Tigrayan civilian population. So really a horrific list there. Researchers say they did not find evidence of genocide or genocidal intent, but they cannot rule that out. They said calling for more independent investigations to take place. Now, as you outlined, this violence is part of the war that began in the Tigray region in late 2020 and has now become a war involving other groups. Initially, it was just with the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front and the Ethiopian government. The report says that when that violence broke out, these forces from Amhara saw an opportunity to take back land after decades-long boundary disputes with Tigrayan leaders. So a really complicated conflict, Jennifer. The report also saying that those list of atrocities alleging were done by the Amharan security forces were done with either the acquiescence or possible participation of Ethiopian security forces.
And Ellen, does the report say anything about accountability?
Well, this has been a really difficult conflict, Jennifer, because it hasn't been able to do a lot of reporting on. That area, the Tigray region, has been sort of blocked off, sealed off, very hard for journalists to get in. The Ethiopian government has accused of blocking aid from being able to get in. So this report does help shine a light on what has happened. In terms of accountability, it really criticizes the Ethiopian government, saying that the Ethiopian government's denial that there has been abuses carried out against the population in Tigray has only compounded the suffering of the people in that region. So it is calling for the government to do more to bring perpetrators of these crimes to justice. It is calling for the government to allow more independent investigations to take place in these regions. This report was done based on more than 400 interviews with survivors of abuse. It was done over a year-long period. There was a previous similar report that was carried out by the UN Human Rights Commission along with, in partnership with, the Ethiopian Human Rights Commissioner. And that report, Jennifer, found that there have been atrocities committed on all sides of this conflict.
Ellen, thank you for this. Ellen Morrow in London.
Are allegations of ethnic cleansing and war crimes in Ethiopia being ignored? Rights groups accuse security forces of atrocities in the Tigray region. Ethiopian government leaders say the allegations could fuel racial hatred. So what should the response be?